Hey there, I'm going to be reviewing A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. So, let's get into it. I, to be honest, let's start right away. I got bored about halfway through, but it got me back into it because the characters sell this book. They are amazing and interesting. Um, they saved the book. They probably saved the series. Even though I don't know if I'm going to continue to read book two and book three, because here's my problem. Okay, when you have interesting characters, you put them into situations that test them really well if you can. And Abercrombie definitely succeeded in this in the first book, but I have doubts as to uh, whether it's maintainable, if that's a word. So let's talk about the best part of the book, the characters. Okay. So Orso the prince is tiny bit of a loser, kind of pathetic. He's the prince and he doesn't like doing anything princely unless you think whoring and drinking is princely. But as the story goes on, he finds himself driven to make a difference in society. Um, So he really is that sort of hero that is made rather than born, though ironically he was born as a prince. Savine is probably my favorite character. Her morals are definitely iffy and a little concerning, but she is so driven, so charismatic, so capable. And you see this in her because she's thrown into different situations that test her. Um, For instance, there's a point in the book where she has to disguise herself as poor, as a beggar. She spent her life as a socialite, as a rich socialite, but she's able to handle the situation with aplomb. She's a very capable person in all sorts of situations. So Leo, the young lion they call him, he's simple and brave. He's a little big-headed due to how many people around him see him, as the young lion, the hero. But he does do some thinking. He does really think about his actions' consequences. So he's not dumb. For instance, in a climactic moment, he's challenged to a duel, and it's with the fate of his people at stake. Everything hinges on this duel. And he seriously considers the situation. He asks his mother, who is like a strategist in the war. He asks all his friends. They all try to help him figure it out. But even with all that, he pretty much knows he's gonna go through with it. And then there is Stour Nightfall. He is a simple character. Um, Not so many dimensions, so I guess I have a complaint with that. But do you really need all your characters to be so interesting? Do they all have to succeed or go past those expectations? I don't know. He's What I don't like is he's kind of painted as a bad guy because he's leading the North. But all of the main characters are all Union. They're all part of the original nation. And so even though the North is kind of the underdogs, I found myself rooting for Leo and and the Union. Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. Rick. She is a dazzling tomboy. She has something called the long eye, which is literally fortune telling. It's seeing the future, and it's kind of a burden. She calls it a curse many times, but the way she handles it, and the way she handles with the violence she encounters and everything, she comes across like a complete badass. And eventually, the Long Eye helps the Union strategically, right? Because the people around her don't question that she can tell the future. They just said, yeah, she can tell the future, and it Thanks, it helps. Um, Broad is a non-pivotal character. He's simple, kind, but he seems to be an expert at violence and being threatening in spite of himself. He ends up working for Savine because she sees in him that threateningness, that violence. Yeah. Will I continue to read the series? I do have hesitations. I already explained my hesitation. The plot, it goes only so far as how it tests the characters, and it does get boring at times. So let's get into what actually happens, and the very no spoiler basic what's going on. Okay, so pivotal to the story, there is a social uprising happening in the nation, and it's in response to the industrial revolution that's happening, because machines mean less need for workers, you pay them less, and as a result, everybody goes crazy. So how does this affect the characters? Savine is investing in all sorts of machinery and companies. That's what she does. She invests in things, and she is thriving in the Industrial Revolution. Though what's important is eventually she experiences the other side of things, where there's poverty. And I don't think, even with that, she does not seem to have much um, reticence about exploiting people and exploiting the Industrial Revolution. The other thing that's going on is there's a civil war going on, which is most directly experienced through a character Leo, also known as the Young Lion. And then the underdogs, the armies of the North, like I said, they're led by Stour Nightfall. And they have their two armies that collide in the rising action of the book. So that's the basic plot and characters. So at this point, it's up to you whether or not I hope I helped you figure out whether you're interested in this book, if you want to read more, whatever. And if you want to hear my final view, it was definitely worth the read, which I don't put down lightly. Like I have to really like a book, which makes sense. Anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like. This is one of my first videos, so just maybe you'd be interested to see what comes. What do you have to lose? One extra subscription isn't gonna kill you. Anyways, thanks for watching.